Extraordinary Life Stories is proudly sponsored by the Georgia Emerson Centre.
Hello, my name is John Reynolds. On this episode of Extraordinary Life Stories, I'm talking to professional footballer Stephen Caulker. Stephen made a huge impression on English football, bursting onto the scene through Tottenham Hotspur's academy. He was regularly playing for the first team and he made his England debut aged 20, scoring on his debut. Stephen's undoubted talent was derailed by his battles with addiction. He's refreshingly open about his journey, using his own experiences to influence and inspire others from a preventative point of view, both within football and beyond. I want to know the why behind him setting up his business behind the white lines. I can see a drive and purpose within Stephen that's formidable, with unfinished business in making sure future talent is not decimated the way his was. I'm very much looking forward to talking with Stephen. Stephen, welcome.
Thank you.
Tell me, who is Stephen Caulker?
It's a good question. Complex individual at times, certainly my girlfriend would say so. I'm 31 years of age. I'm a father. I have a beautiful son who I care about deeply and is a big motivation for me to be a better man, a better father, certainly a better man than I was, a few years ago, where I was struggling with addiction and I let addiction get a strong grip on me, and that turned me into someone I didn't like. Not every day, but on occasions, it's a very up and down journey, and I'm someone today who's fought hard to live a clean life. It is a day at a time. That's what I live by. At any moment, I could go back, but with the support I have and the things I have in place today, I'm able to move forward and use it in a positive light to help others. So in a short way of describing it, yeah. I'm someone who's on a journey and who cares deeply about the people around me.
Yeah, it's amazing. I'm a father too. I know how it gives you such a focus, such a purpose, doesn't it? Not too
Absolutely.
Easy. Take me back to when you were young and when you were growing up. What did you actually want to be as you were growing up?
Footballer.
Yeah, always.
Always. So from the age of 6 or 7, yeah. I knew I wanted to be a footballer.
Was that because the family member spotted a team, or you saw some players playing and you wanted it? What was the?
Yeah, I had my uncle supported Brentford, and that was my local team. So I'd go there and watch them. A lot cheaper than what it is today to go watch them. And I grew up watching Brentford. Lloyd Owusu was like my idol growing up. Thierry Henry at Arsenal as well, who was a club that I just loved. Ironically, I played with both their rivals throughout my career, QPR and Tottenham, but that wasn't the plan. As a kid, it was just about getting there, lifting the FA Cup, lifting the Premier League, things that I never quite actually achieved throughout my career, but things that I came close to, things that I definitely looking back on, I've been proud of. I'm still playing today. It's still possible. Things happen. Luton have just been promoted to the Premier League. It is possible. But I'm sort of drifting away from it. I'm sort of coming towards the back end of my career now. But that was, if you asked me at 6 or 7, what did I want to be? A footballer.
And your trajectory was amazing. You got a cap at 20 and a goal on your debut, playing for Tottenham. So take me through that journey of youth into kind of early 20s in the football side of things.
Yeah, I mean, I was playing grassroots football until the age of 15. I'd been on several trials, Chelsea, Reading, QPR, been rejected by all of them, which was a testing time. At the age of 15, my mum's telling me, you've got to focus on your GCSEs. It doesn't look like you're going to make it. There's I guess there's a difficult conversation for any parent to have, but there was a realness to it. And I knew it. I didn't want to hear it, but I knew it. Then, as it happens, Tottenham came along and they offered me a trial. I changed positions because originally I was a centre mid. I then got into defence, went there, Tottenham signed me very, very quickly actually. It was after one training session and one game. So, and from that day forward, the age of 15 to 20, I had just 5 years of that. It was unbelievable success. Things were great. And I hadn't really been challenged, I guess. I mean, obviously there was challenges along the way, but there wasn't the challenge of things drastically going wrong. and that, I guess, kicked in at 19. And by the time I was 20, I was then a little bit rocked and I guess looking for different direction. And it took me a good few years till I found that direction.
Yeah. So what do you think was the catalyst that rocked you and ultimately sent you into a bit of a downward spiral?
I think, I mean, football, people always say the football causes it, the football causes your addiction. Not for me. I believe that it's something that's inside me, whether I was born with it or whether it's something that just developed from the environment I've been in from a kid. I don't know. I don't have the answer to that. I just know that whether I was a plumber or a footballer, I would have struggled with these issues. What I feel football did was it fast-tracked these issues. Because I was in the public eye, I was being highlighted for my mistakes, for my issues, for my drinking binges, for my blackouts, for the heavy gambling. It was all on me. It was all on top of me. I was waking up after blackouts and the newspapers were outside my door and I didn't know what happened. So I couldn't explain to my mum, to my girlfriend at the time.
Scary, right?
Really scary. There was no way past that. So that took place in my life, and I believe it would have took place in my life, whatever industry I was in. However, it probably happened a little bit earlier due to the football and the spotlight I was under.
Spotlight, and also a lot of money. You've been paid a lot of money, so actually you've got access to funds that you may not have done in a different, so that you use that word fast track. That potentially also didn't help, where you could actually mess around with certain things and from a gambling point of view and create a habit.
Yeah, absolutely. And what it also did was allow me to borrow. Because people typically think of gambling as losing all your money. It's my money plus whoever else would give it to me. That's the depths of addiction. And in those stages, as a Premier League footballer, the casinos will give it to you, the banks will give it to you, your friends of friends will give it to you, and you're just there, left with a huge hole of debt, with interest to pay on top of it, and emotionally broken. There's a term that's thrown around quite a bit in AA, which is spiritually bankrupt, and I thought that described me perfectly. It wasn't just the financial bankruptcy; it was a spiritual bankruptcy where I was empty. Everything was going. I was able, just through my family, to be able to hold on to some of my money through properties. When I first made it, I wanted to buy them a house to sort of thank them for supporting me through the journey. Because I mean, the sacrifice parents make in order for kids to be Premier League footballers is ginormous. Driving here, there and everywhere, the sacrifice every weekend. My brother, the sacrifice he made as a youngster, being in the car and traveling back and forth. So that was a nice thing I was able to do, and thankfully that was kept aside.
Yeah.
So although the madness was going on here, that side of it was still protected.
That is good. Did you buy other properties as well? Parents' property that you bought a portfolio that you could get income from?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So property is the only thing that half to come off the back of it was still there.
Yeah.
So thankfully that came through my dad. My dad was very strong on me, like making the right decisions, and sort of guided me in that area.
That's good. So you've got that kind of guidance from your father. You've got your own self-discipline to get up every day and train and become someone that played for England, Tottenham at that time. You say that addiction mentality was already in you, and yet that's almost a counter against the fact that you're goal-driven. You achieved those goals at a certain period in time. Why do you think it got so consuming? Fast-tracking into where you got to. Why did you not find you could pull yourself out of that? And did you seek any help?
I was too deep in. I sought a lot of help. I went to rehab twice, once at 19 and once 25, I believe.
Okay.
Walked out both times. If I had £1 for every therapist that said to me, you're okay because you know what's going on, so you're almost halfway there because you've got the knowledge and the insight, then I probably wouldn't be in the financial debt that I was in, because every therapist was telling me the same thing. You've got the insight, you understand it. Yes, I understood it, but I just couldn't do anything about it. So addiction is a very complex illness. In my opinion, it is an illness, and it's almost one side of you lives there and the other side lives here, and the sort of battle every day against them both, the good and the bad, was challenging. And football turned its back on me, but rightly so. I think that once I'd got to a certain stage where I was probably unable to perform, well, not probably, I was unable to perform, especially to the level that I'd set previously. I was below that, I was below par, and that disrupts changing rooms, that disrupts home life, and football had to, draw a line and say that there's no more opportunities for you here. And that sort of harsh reality there led me to get what I needed to get from life, and that was my rock bottom. You know, once I hit a rock bottom, it was then like, okay, like I can actually find some sort of way for me and what works for me. Because as you know, as we spoke previously, you know, there's a lot of support out there, but what I found was it was what worked for me as an individual. But I didn't find that until football had passed by.
So the therapy didn't work, and you say what worked for me, but you see, hit the rock bottom. Did you then just start almost asking yourself questions and working out what it is that you need to do to layer and reframe and come back, or did you also get some help there as well?
But it was two words for me that sort of stand out, I guess, would be one, surrender. I had to surrender and acceptance. You know, those were the two sort of things for me.
Very humbling.
Very, very, very humbling. From having gone from the heights of playing for England and Premier League at 20 to then 25, 26 to accepting that actually I'm in trouble here. I need help. I then went to the doctor, took antidepressants. For the first time in my life, I took the antidepressants. Whereas previously I'd been told I'm depressed, and I thought, no, it's just because of the addiction. Oh, no, it's because of the football. And it was always something else, when actually I realised I need antidepressants and I want to start. So that sort of acceptance, that sort of surrender to maybe I can't do this on my own, was I guess my first step. AA, GA, which Alcoholics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous, they were two big factors and still big factors in my life today. I still attend the meetings, and finding myself a group of people that understood me without judgment, you know, like-minded individuals. I feel that was sort of the platform that then allowed me to slowly work my way through the 12-step program and come back.
Talk to me about Behind the White Lines.
So yeah, Behind the White Lines is something that I set up about 9 months ago. It's something that I thought, at the age of 26, who was I? I had no identity, because all I'd ever been known as was the footballer. All I ever thought of myself was the footballer. So when there was no football, who was I? And I struggled to understand that. Actually, going back to when you asked me who's Stephen Caulker, I didn't actually mention footballer, which is interesting, because
that.
I didn't. 5 years ago, 5 years ago, I would have said to you first thing, I'm Stephen Caulker, I'm a football player, I play for so and so.
That's progress though, right?
It's progress, and it's like, actually today I describe who I am before what I do, and I feel that there's so many kids out there, and I call them kids, they're young men, you know, 18 to 21-year-olds and younger, who are falling out of the system after being in football for so many years and not knowing what to do, not knowing what the next step is. Now, my belief is that having like-minded individuals, the same way that AA and GA supported me, having players who have played football or who have been in their experience through academies, helping these young boys, talking to them on a relatable level that they can understand, is so beneficial to these young boys, and helps them firstly not feel alone. Because there's players out there that have sadly killed themselves as a result of just, I guess, loss of identity, loss of direction.
Well, they've imagined they're going to walk out at the Theatre of Dreams or Old Trafford, and their parents are talking about, he's a footballer, which is part of the conversation I had with you previously before this programme, and it really resonated.
Yeah.
And then they're left.
Yeah.
It's just the identity's crushed.
Where next? Next? I think if you're falling from Man United or Tottenham, you have a chance to go Championship League. Not always the case, but you have a chance. Statistically, you would say there's an opportunity there. If you're falling from League One, League Two, where are you going next? Non-league clubs say you're not quite ready physically. Your education's been put aside because you've been so focused on football. What next for these young boys? So the idea behind the White Lines will be an aftercare academy where we take care of these boys, we support them, we give them opportunities at universities, we give them opportunities in America to go there and do scholarship programs. And we also offer them a second chance in football. So they'll come to us, they'll play games against other professional academies. They're in the shop window, so there's another opportunity then, because the reason why I say that is because there's so many late developers in football. Football is sometimes you could progress under one coach and under another coach be a complete mess. Fernando Torres is probably a very, very famous example of that. At Liverpool was a well-known superstar, went to Chelsea and really struggled. Confidence, coaches, different styles, different tactics. So that's happening to all these young boys, and sometimes they just need a little change in coaching methods, a little change in understanding of the game, and a little bit of time, a little bit of patience. So that's what we offer. There's lots of young players out there that I'm supporting on a one-to-one basis in terms of mentoring and help guiding them. It's tough, it's time consuming, but I'm passionate about it. I believe that these young boys can then get to 24, 25 and help the next generation. So That's my plan. I think I want to use my experiences to make a change.
Exactly. It's so often, it's so obvious, it's a mission-led business.
Extraordinary Life Stories is proudly sponsored by the Georgia Emerson Centre. Introducing the Georgia Emerson Centre, where innovation meets health. If you are tired of waiting for a diagnosis or believe there should be other ways to treat your condition, the Georgia Emerson Centre could help you. We take a patient-first approach and offer the latest medications and technological advancements in private healthcare across a number of key areas, including but not limited to headaches, migraines and chronic pain, mental health conditions, addiction and ADHD diagnosis and treatment. We have an on-site lab for diagnostics to enable you to receive health assessments on your terms and in your timelines. From our state-of-the-art clinic in central London, our consultants want to help you improve your quality of life and access to affordable healthcare services. Take back control of your health at the Georgia Emerson Centre. Extraordinary Life Stories is proudly sponsored by the Georgia Emerson Centre.
Is there anything existing like it already? Because if you say no, that's crazy, right? These lads for years have been coming through academies and then being dropped. Is there no anything that catches them previous to behind the white lines?
No, there's no soft landing place. So you've now got Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's now come up with an aftercare package in terms of education, which is fantastic. You've got the Premier League, who are trying to offer a 5-day course where the boys can come in and play there in front of scouts and maybe potentially get scouted again. But there's no sort of year-long program where these boys have time to adjust, transition back into society. And like I said, there will be players going back into football. There will be some of these boys going into universities. But thankfully, we've been really fortunate to establish such strong links with people willing to help, that these are real opportunities. They're not pie in the sky information that's sent to them via email. It's here, we're real. We've got real good people inside our camp with lived experience. And it's something that's building momentum already.
What are your personal goals now? Because you've got the dream that went with football, you've got the dream now behind the white lines, but do you actually update your goals and do you write them down? Do you journal? I'd love to know what they are.
Yeah, it's a good question. For me, my goals are constantly evolving. So I will have a deep passion to be a manager. That's something alongside behind the white lines that I would love to do in my own time. I don't want to rush it. I'm doing my badges, and it's something that I want to do because I'll touch on why. Because I've worked under 21 different club managers. I counted the other day, 21 different club managers, and I've learned a lot about who I don't want to be, and I've also learned a little bit about who I do want to be as a manager. Some top managers within it who I've taken little bits from. I believe that communication is still missing. I believe that communication between the staff and the players there's still such a gap. And I just want to, I believe by just bringing that slightly more together, we could get better results. Tactically, I need to learn, and I can learn from Jurgen Klopp, who I worked with, or Brendan Rodgers, who are two great tacticians, and many others that too many to mention. But I could take little bits from them in terms of tactically. But that's what I really want to focus on, is just that communication, that bringing the team together. I feel football lacks that, which is quite bizarre for me.
Yeah.
But
that shocks me.
Yeah, it's my experience. Someone else may tell you different, but from my experience, there's a real lack of emotional intelligence within football. For me, Gareth Southgate's leading the way. He's someone who I look at, and it's so emotionally intelligent, so understanding of his players, so supportive of his players. Gets a lot of criticism. He hasn't won this, he hasn't won that. For me, he's won amazing things for England. If you look at using Harry Maguire as an example, Harry Maguire, who's someone who comes under ginormous criticism at Man United, borderline bullying, I would say, in my personal opinion. Southgate trusts him, brings him in, and he always performs. And it's like, well, how does he perform for England? Why? And people are missing the link. It's Southgate. Southgate's able to do that, to achieve that with the relationship he has with him. So that's someone I look at and go, I want to be like you. I want to be, in my own way, I want to be like you. So being a manager is definitely a long-term goal for me.
Well, you heard it here first. I think you'd be a great manager.
Thank you.
You've obviously gone through, used the example you said of hitting the bottom to come back, and sitting here with you now, you've got amazing presence, you're focused, you're setting up the business that clearly could be really successful, and I hope it is. What have you done, in your opinion, that's really helped you in terms of keeping fit and keeping mentally fit? Is there anything consistently you've done? Because there's ice baths, there's breathing exercises, there's yoga, there's cold showers. There's so many things we can do in self-development books, podcasts. What works for you?
Good question. what works for me, I would say AA. I mean, again, it's something personal to me, but it works.
Yeah.
Just being in a room and having that space for me 2 or 3 times a week where I could just go and listen, firstly, because a lot of the time I spend talking, just going there and listening to like-minded individuals, having that sort of downtime to breathe, that sort of hour without my phone, without any distractions, and having that. So that's definitely something for me that's sacred. It's so important. And the other thing for me is training. So I've been injured. I've just done my knee and recovering from a knee operation the last 3 weeks. I can't run, right? But I love to run, not just because of my sport. I love to run, but the endorphins it releases. I get up early, I train, and I feel so much better for it. So without the knee, I'm challenged, right? So, but there's always ways around it. I could go swimming. I could do little walks. I could do stuff like that. Just being in nature for me is something that's so important to have that time away from the phone. And I keep going referring to that because it is something that, as you mentioned, as an entrepreneur, it's going 20 hours a day, and I'm like, I need time for the family. I need time to sleep.
Yeah.
And I don't want to miss that family time. For me, that's so vital. So I'm having to lay down disciplines and put boundaries in place. Don't always stick to them. But
if you did, you'd be unique.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you about juggling your
Yeah.
family, because when you first started talking, your son, and same for me, the daughters, but we're both sat here. There's work. There's all sorts of other commitments that go on.
Yeah.
How do you manage to juggle that? It's a challenge, right?
It's a real challenge. I just try my best. I spent 4 years
Great
working.
answer, that.
Yeah, I spent 4 years working in Turkey, and my family was here. So that was really challenging. That was during the period of Corona as well. So we had all the lockdowns, and I was stuck over there. They were stuck here.
Yeah.
Challenging, but it's something that I try my best to do. FaceTime's obviously a great help. It's not the same as hugging and having that time together, sat on the sofa watching a movie, the little things. But we manage, and my son and my family understand that I'm trying my best, and it works. Could it be better? Absolutely.
Yeah. What do you reckon is your greatest strength?
Resilience. Yeah, resilience. I've overcome a lot of things internally and externally in my life. For me, resilience, and to break that down, I'd say the resilience for me is like the ability to like keep going no matter how many times you're knocked down. I actually want to say this. You mentioned earlier on about the addiction and all that kind of stuff. For me, part of my gift is my curse in some ways, because that relentless drive to keep going in the casino, keep going for the alcohol and all that, actually take that into my life. In some ways, it's good, because when I was written off and down now, it was that same resilience, that same drive, that same madness, borderline madness that just kept me going, me going. There was 70 different teams that said no to me, and it was the 71st team in Turkey, completely random, out of the way, who said, come and do a 10-day trial. So if I never had that same, is it madness, as a lot of people call it?
Determination.
Determination is a nice way of putting it. I said sometimes
You're
it
not
is.
mad.
No, but there are definitely parts in it where you say, well, that's mad. I did that. I rode through that. So that definitely the determination was a big part in it.
We touched on talking about success and achieving earlier. I've got 2 questions for you. What would you say is your greatest achievement, and how do you define success?
Good question. My greatest achievement would be just like surviving the period where at one point I thought I wasn't going to be here. I'd say that's probably my greatest achievement. It was sort of topped off by playing a game out in Turkey where it was my first league game back after just about a year where I'd sort of been out of league football, and just after all the trials and tribulations, just being stood there and being able to sort of like talk to my son after the game and just have that feeling of knowing that actually, I've been able to go through it. That's probably my biggest success. Yeah. What was the second part?
How do you define success? And I imagine that's a very different answer to a 19-year-old Stephen.
Yeah, absolutely. Success for me would be, having like a healthy family around me with financial freedom, I guess. I know typically the answer nowadays isn't about finances, but if I had the financial freedom to spend time with my family and be around my family, then for me that'd be success. Part of life is having to work. It's all very well said, I want to be successful and happy, absolutely. But if I had the financial freedom to spend more time with my family, that would be my ultimate ultimate aim.
Yeah, that's quality of time. Yeah. But your financial freedom may well come from well, I certainly hope it does come from what you're doing behind the white lines. If you had a vision for that, if you could tell me what that manifest would look like, where would it be in, I don't want to say at 5-6 years time, whatever, what would it actually be achieving? What would it be doing, and how big would it be?
For me, it'd be massive. It would be supporting every single player that's released from the 92 clubs in England. Would love to branch out to Europe, America. There's also other sports. We were sat with the RPA the other day and talking about rugby and what goes on in their sport. So I would love to take it across different sports. What does success look like? I think it's the individual successes that will then make the company a success.
Yeah.
The individual journey of the players who then go on to play at a great level after being a late developer, for those who go on to university and study and be doctors and nurses. For me, that would be the individual success of everybody coming collectively together as a business, for me, would be the ultimate.
I hope you achieve it, because what you're doing is clearly needed. The fact that it wasn't there before, how many kids, how many people have suffered, you're there to help them. It's properly inspiring. And you yourself inspiring to hit the bottom and to be doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for talking to me, Steve. It's been awesome.
I really appreciate it.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Extraordinary Life Stories is proudly sponsored by the Georgia Emerson Centre. Introducing the Georgia Emerson Centre, where innovation meets health. If you are tired of waiting for a diagnosis or believe there should be other ways to treat your condition, the Georgia Emerson Centre could help you. We take a patient-first approach and offer the latest medications and technological advancements in private healthcare across a number of key areas, including but not limited to headaches, migraines and chronic pain, mental health conditions, addiction and ADHD diagnosis and treatment. We have an on-site lab for diagnostics to enable you to receive health assessments on your terms and in your timelines. From our state-of-the-art clinic in central London, our consultants want to help you improve your quality of life and access to affordable healthcare services. Take back control of your health at the Georgia Emerson Centre.